Always a pleasure.
Hey, how are you, man?
Doing well.
You look exceptionally sharp.
Thank you.
I think
Likewise.
one of the best dressed here, in my opinion. So
Hey, we're trying to keep up. The ties and the pocket squares are
Yes.
really great touch. All right. We're starting to see a little bit of a rebrand here on X and on the landing page. So what can you tell us about this new direction?
Oh yeah, thanks for asking. So we started this project because Jeff has always been jeff.hl. Julian's been julian.hl. So it's well before HyperEVM existed. That sort of that .hl was a connection between your identity and Hyperliquid. So as the ecosystem has matured, we wanted to sort of shift away from the original framing that we had around Hyperliquid names to something that was a little bit closer to what we think is sort of like the core identity of Hyperliquid, which is a .hl. So we're just seeing more and more users represent themselves as a .hl online, and people sort of like referring to people in the Hyperliquid ecosystem who are talking about Hyperliquid, sort of like professing it and its values as as being those .hls. So we're like, hey, this is a moment that we want to capitalize on and double down on. So that's really kind of what drove the change there.
Great. And so that, just leaning into .hl.
Meeting users where they are is something people say.
Yeah, and
I think that's what we've been doing. It's kind of like rings true. It rings cool. I think maybe like some people could think it sounds like a bit awkward, but I think anytime you're doing something like new and you're setting a new trend, it's going to feel that way at the beginning. So .hl is something we're very proud of.
So why do people want a .hl, and what does it mean to be a .hl?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. So I think there's two levels to consider there. One is there's a functional utility on it. People send money and they execute transactions on chain. Typically, it's like you're representing your identity with like a 0x followed by like a string of an alphanumeric sequence, which like nobody can remember. And we just wanted to like make something that's like much more practical and usable. And you can just use like, hey, Tangle.hl, for example, jeff.hl in order to interact with that person on chain. So it's not only just for like P2P interactions, but also just in terms of like interacting with applications as well. The other level, which is sort of like touched on at the beginning, was the identity aspect. And so, of course, Hyperliquid is one of the strongest narratives in crypto right now. And we wanted to give people a very, very clear way to connect themselves with that narrative. And we've been able to do that in a way that sort of like rings true with the people who are driving that narrative, like Jeff.hl. So yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. Tell us about like the affiliate program and the builder program.
Okay. Yes. So both of them come down to a similar idea, which is growing the Hyperliquid ecosystem. We really took a cue from what the core Hyperliquid team has been doing in terms of, offering builder codes. Our affiliate program is really kind of like the equivalent of that. You can basically build an app and you can basically control how people actually like mint their own names, and you can integrate that directly into your application, which is something that no other name service has done. So that's like pretty unique, and we have a really, really strong technical team, both on the front end and the back end, who've been able to make that happen, and they're always cooking up new ideas. So that's been really exciting. And then of course the referral program is just something that allows you to basically like, hey, you have a strong identity within Hyperliquid, you're a .hl, you're well known, and you're onboarding users into the space. Well, you can actually sort of capitalize on that as well and basically say, hey, here's a referral code. It's very simple. It has their name in it. People click on it. They mint a name through that referral code, and you get some money from having them minted, and they also get a discount on the name as well. So, just trying to help grow the ecosystem.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you called it like referring to builder codes.
Yeah.
In a very similar way of doing it. So I think it's a really good comparison and how people can think about it. So, yeah. One other thing we're seeing starting to come out here, I'm getting some leaks on it, was the DNS with hl.hn.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah, so we wanted to basically like find a way to take like what we've been doing like within the Hyperliquid system and expand outside of that. And there's like two ways that we've been able to do that. So like with hl.hn, you can now have your Hyperliquid address be represented on like any of the chains in which ENS functions. So that's pretty cool, I think. The other is basically you can access like through a web app, you can basically like enter your name hl.hn and it will take you to like a website that you've configured and you've set up as well. So it's a way to sort of like tie your traditional Web 2 identity to your Hyperliquid identity as well.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, giving further utility for owning a .hl.
Exactly, yeah.
And as as you're bringing out more and more integrations, like obviously you're seeing more resolutions there.
Yeah.
But being able to go into an application or a wallet, for example, something, and I think like MetaMask and Rabby, ones that would, for example, if you type in your name.hl.hn, that's going to resolve within that. Yeah.
Exactly. And speaking of resolutions, that's something that's kind of like really cool. Like we have like some visibility on some interesting data and activity that happens on Hyperliquid because people are like interacting with each other like through names. So to give you like a bit of an idea, we see like, I think it's around like 300,000 name resolutions a day. And that's basically people, they're using apps, and those apps are basically trying to resolve like an address in their wallet to a name. And so that's just like representing like a ton of activity on Hyperliquid, and we think it's a strong sign that names are playing an important role in that infrastructure. So super exciting. Yeah.
Great. And what's ahead for HL names for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year, that's a good question. We're going to continue to double down on sort of like rethinking our brand. Hyperliquid has, matured a lot. As you can see at this event, it's become sort of like much more institutional. And the Hyperliquid core team, like their goals are really to make this like the house of all the finance. So we just like want to like, spend a lot of time thinking about what that means for how people want to represent themselves and their identity. And it's probably something that's a bit more polished up and a bit more mature. And we want to make sure that Hyperliquid Names is aligned with that, so people feel excited about, connecting their identity through our service.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hyperliquid.
Yes, Hyperliquid, sir. Thank you.